Hello friends, and welcome back to Random Hearts, and welcome to our guest room, or as we lovingly like to refer to it, as the Heart House B&B. Now, this lower level basement bedroom has not always been a guest room. In fact, this room has served many purposes and functions since the time we moved into this house. When we first moved in, we were doing major renovations on our upper 2 floors, and so this was our children's bedroom for about 6 months. They shared this space, and then once we were done with our renovations upstairs, we moved them to their new rooms. And this became our office/craft room. We had not replaced the carpets when it was our craft room, and thank God for that, because it told us right away that carpet and my craft room were not a good fit. I work with very messy products like inks and glues, glitters, and paints. And so I actually ruined the carpet in this room with an upside down ink pad. And we determined at that time that we were going to replace the carpets, and this was not going to be a craft room or an office. And so we swapped with our son. I took the upper bedroom for my office, and he took this room. Now, he had this room up until about 8 years ago when he moved on to college. And at that point, he didn't want any of the furniture. And so we decided we were going to go ahead and sell his furniture. It was all teenage boy furniture. We even had a twin-size bed, so it wasn't very useful for a guest space. But we sold all of his furniture. We painted the walls, we cleaned the carpets, and we really started thinking about what we needed this space to serve for our home. And we desperately needed a guest room. Our daughter had the only large bed other than ours at the time, and anytime we had a guest come to our house, we were having to kick her out of her room. And it just did not seem fair to have this space down here and to kick her out of her bed every time we had someone come visit. And so we started really thinking about what are the essential things that a guest room needs. Because we started with a blank slate and had no furniture in here, we pretty much got the opportunity to buy everything that we needed. And so we were very frugal about it. We were very cautious. And here are some of the things that we considered when we were putting this guest room together. So our first consideration is probably a no-brainer here, but it is a comfortable bed. And a lot of times what happens is a guest room gets that leftover bed. The mattress you've been storing in the basement or up in the attic, or grandma's old bed. Something that is not in the best of shape anymore, and we did not want that to happen. We did not want the lumpiness, the uncomfortableness, or maybe even the smell that comes from having an older mattress. And so we purchased a brand new mattress, and I think if we had even had a mattress to use in this room, we probably still would have purchased one. But we chose something that has kind of a middle ground for firmness. We didn't want too soft. We didn't want too firm. We wanted something that pretty much everyone could sleep on and be comfortable with. And so that is what we did. We also made sure to buy a metal frame for this bed. A lot of times wood frames will show nicks and damage very quickly. And so that is why we chose a metal frame for this bed. We also were considerate when putting the linens on this bed. No chance for allergies in this room. We have no feather pillows, no down comforters, nothing that will cause someone to have an allergic reaction. And we also do not have any wool blankets on this bed, because even though sometimes people don't think those are an allergic reaction type thing, they do cause skin irritation for some people. And so this bed is very lightly put together. We have a sheet set on it, we have a very light blanket, and a cotton quilt on the top. And that is it. Very simple bedding. That leads us to the next thing though. Because this is a very simple bed and it has very simple linens on it, this basement room can get very chilly, especially in the wintertime. So we have extra blankets in this room. We have this extra little coverlet that you can pull up when you are sleeping. That is great for the summertime. We also have like throws and extra blankets elsewhere in the room, and we make sure we show our guests where those are so that everyone can keep their own comfort level while they are sleeping. The next thing we considered is where our guest will put their clothing when they come to visit. We do have a suitcase rack underneath this bed. It folds up very nicely, and normally it is not seen at all. When we know we have a guest coming to the house, we will bring that out from underneath the bed. We will sit it at the foot of the bed, and then once we take our guest on a tour of the room, we will let them know that we would prefer you to put your suitcase on this rack rather than on a desk or dresser. Both the desk and dresser in this room have wood tops, and wheels and handles are very damaging to wood products. And so we always make sure we let them know that it is preferred that they use the suitcase stand. We also have a small closet in this room with a dedicated rod for our guests to hang up hanging clothes. We have hangers in there. It is not a dedicated closet. There is some storage in it, but we do let them know that they are more than welcome to use that closet for their clothing. Bathroom access is just about as important as having a comfortable bed for your guests, and they want to be comfortable in using the bathroom. And so if you have the ability to give them a private bathroom, try to do that. We were very lucky because, like I said, this is the only bedroom on this level, and we happen to have a bathroom right next door. They are not connected to this room, and our guests do have to walk out into the hallway, but we do provide bathrobes so that they will feel more comfortable in doing that. If you do have to share the bathroom with household members, make sure you ahead of time have some rules set up so that people aren't walking in on other people, and that your guests know where everything's at in the bathroom and what they can and can't use. The next big thing to consider is towels. This goes along with the bathroom, but making sure that you have large towels that your guests can have access to. And we usually keep those in this room. We have a space in our dresser that we hold all of our extra bath towels that are specifically for our guests. We do not personally use them. They are only for guest usage. I intentionally made everything white because then I can bleach things and put them all in the same load, and that seems to make it very easy for me to do laundry after we have a guest. Now, this next item kind of goes along with the bathroom and the extra towels, but this is access to major toiletries. And I'm not talking everything a guest could possibly need. I'm just talking the major things that if you were to go without them for one night, you would be very uncomfortable. And that would be things like a toothbrush, toothpaste, making sure that our guests have the ability to take their makeup off. So I always make sure that I have makeup remover cloths in our little caddy that holds our toiletries. We also make sure that they have access to at least body wash, because body wash can be used as shampoo if you need to, but you can go an awful lot of days without taking a shower and be okay. But if you are not brushing your teeth at least once a day, it's very uncomfortable. And so you don't want your guests to be uncomfortable. So just providing those bare necessities and having those readily accessible to them, especially if they might have forgotten something, that is very important. So always make sure you have a caddy with a few extra toiletries. Now, this next item might not be necessary for you, but for us, it was super necessary. When we were considering making this a guest room, we're very aware that this room can sometimes be upwards of 10 degrees lower than our upper floor. And that is just because of the way our house is set up. So this room can be very chilly in the wintertime. And so we wanted to make sure that our guests had that comfort or the ability to make themselves as comfortable as possible. And so we chose to put in an infrared fireplace in this room. It is part of our dresser unit, and it does have a remote control. And in the winter months, we will show our guests where that remote control is and how to use that fireplace. And it basically just takes the edge off in the room and helps them to sleep more comfortably. And it can provide a tiny bit of ambience as well. And so we do provide that for the winter months, and we also provide a fan. And this is not necessarily for the summer months, because I like to sleep with a fan all year round. I like the sound of a fan in the background while I'm sleeping. I love that white noise, and I like to have the cool air blowing across my face. Now, I'm bundled up to the nine, but I still have cool air on my face. And I know there are other people like me out there, and so I tend to want to provide what I need when I go to a guest room, and so, or a hotel. And so we do provide a small fan that can be sat on the tabletop and can be used. But making sure that your guests have a comfortable level to sleep at is very important. And so those two items can keep you comfortable no matter what the season. The next thing we considered was a place to actually put your butt. So somewhere to sit during the time that you are staying in our guest room. We don't prefer people to sit on a bed because that wears out the mattress over time. The edge of the mattress will actually start sloughing off. And so we want to make sure that you have comfortable places to sit, especially if you are an elderly guest and you need a place to sit to put on your clothing, or you're a nursing mother and you need a place to sit to nurse your baby. So we provided a club chair for that purpose, and we also have a desk chair in the room. That desk chair was a dining chair that was on the as-is products because it had a broken leg. We were able to fix the leg and repaint the chair, and it's actually a better chair than I probably could have found anywhere. And so don't discount those things that may be a little bit damaged or might not be the exact color that you need, because you can always repair those, paint those, and put them into your guest space. Now this next item is probably a no-brainer as well, but because our overhead lights in the room are shut off at the doorway, a guest might not be able to navigate that room with that light off because they're not familiar with the furniture and the surroundings in the room. So we always provide a guest a bedside table lamp. That way they can read in bed, or they can get from the doorway to the bed without stumbling or stubbing a toe. So at least one bedside table is very important for a guest room. Now this next consideration is basically for anybody that has an electronic in this world, and that should be pretty much everyone anymore. Between cell phones, watches, laptops, anything that needs a charge, that usually happens while you're sleeping. So we make sure that we have access to at least one outlet in the room for our guests, and it's very visible. We also make sure that we have a USB charging port, and we have a multi-cable so that basically if you have a different device and forgot your charging cable, we could pretty much provide every cable that is available. They're pretty cheap, and I just found mine at Walmart. And so we do make sure that we provide those things for our guests, because anymore that is pretty much a necessity for most people. So make sure you keep your guests happy and have access to electronic charging. The next consideration probably goes along with electronic charging, but it's also just as equally important for your electronics, and that is access to your internet. And most people, when they are visiting, are not working. But if you do have to work while you're on vacation, it is really important to have good internet access. I know in our area, our cell phone reception is not the greatest. And so sometimes people will come from out of state and they will have great reception on their cell phone where they come from. And then they get here and they find out they don't even have access to their cell tower. And so having access to our internet, our home internet, can provide them with that peace of mind. And so we do have that mounted on our wall. I don't know if I will show that to you, but it is in a picture, and it does have our internet code for it. And so that is something that's really important anymore to provide for your guests, is access to the internet. This next item may not be necessary for every guest situation, but for our guest room, this was essential. We have family members and friends that do work remotely, and so when they come to visit, sometimes they will have their laptops with them and they will need a quiet space to actually do work. And so they can shut the door to this room. We have a desk with a lamp and a chair, and they can sit down and work for whatever amount of time they need to do that. And so knowing your guests and knowing what they will need and providing that for them is essential to being a good host. For instance, if you have someone that comes to your house regularly and they have equipment like a sleep apnea machine and they need to have that by the bedside, you need to provide an open bedside table for those items. We also have small children that come to visit every once in a while and babies. And so having a portable crib that can set up at the end of the bed, that is something that you can provide for your guests so that they know they don't have to pack that around with them and that you will have that for them. And so just knowing your guests and providing the furniture items and the pieces of furniture that will help them to be more comfortable in your space and do what they need to, that is a very essential part of putting a good guest room together. Another essential item for a guest room to consider is a mirror. This does not have to be a full-length mirror. We just have a large mirror in the room, but it does several things. First of all, it helps to push the light from these two windows into the room and makes this room seem a lot bigger than it really is. This is not a large bedroom, and in fact, we have low ceilings when you first walk in the room because we have ductwork that is hidden behind sheetrock. And so that actually causes you to feel a little claustrophobic at first. And then when you walk in and you see the mirror and the window and they're all reflecting each other, it makes this room feel a whole lot bigger. And so that helps a lot there. It also will help alleviate some pressures on the one bathroom that's down here. So there's a mirror in that bathroom, but if one person is using the bathroom, the other person is kind of stuck if you don't have a mirror for them. So they can use this mirror in this room while another person is using the bathroom. And that will help them to get dressed and ready and do the things that they need without too many complications. So having a mirror is a very important thing. Now we're getting into some of the things that we considered, but decided to change up a little bit. So we did consider for a while putting a television in this room. We had the space for it. We have the ability. We even have a jack in the room to put it in. But we decided that people that are coming to this room are typically our family and friends. This is not a hotel room. This is not even a B&B, even though it says it on the wall. But basically, we want the people that are coming to visit us to be a part of our family. If we're watching television, we would want them to watch television with us. And if we are viewing something, we would want them to be with us doing that as well. So we do not provide a television in this room, and that is something we have felt very strongly about and consider one of the best things we decided not to do in the room. For a time, we considered several different options for refreshments and snacks for this guest room. But over the years, we have kind of refined that, and we are now down to 2 items that we leave in the room for our guests. And that is a pitcher of water and some mints. Now, when we first put this room together, we had a coffee pot in the room, and it was pretty obvious right away coffee was not a good mix with this lower level carpet, white in the room, blah, blah, blah. And so we took the coffee pot out and we just put in a pitcher of water. Water is pretty much essential, and anyone that is needing a drink doesn't have to stumble all the way up the stairs in the middle of the night into an unfamiliar kitchen to find a glass for water. So we do provide a small pitcher with fresh water in it. Sometimes I will get a little bit fancy with it, add some lemon slices or some cucumber slices, but I always provide a fresh pitcher of water. We have 3 total glasses because the top of that pitcher is also a glass, and they are glass glasses. We have not yet had any problem with that. But I do prefer glass over plastic. And so that is very important to me to provide water or refreshments of that form for my guests. And if it should spill, not a big deal. Water is easily cleaned up. The other thing, like I said, we provide is mints, and that is just so our guests can have something sweet to freshen their breath if they are in a hurry in the morning when they need to leave, and they can just grab those and go. And so those are the two things that we provide for refreshment and snack and nothing else. We went through a lot of other things, but those are the two things we have settled on. So this may seem like a very long list of things that we considered before putting this guest room together, but in all actuality, there really are only about 4 areas that you really need to concentrate on and focus your attention on. And that is making sure your guests have a comfortable bed to sleep in, they have somewhere where they can work and sit, they have somewhere for their things to go while they're staying with you, and they have a clean and comfortable place to do their business, if you know what I mean. But other than that, you do not need to break the bank. You do not need to go overboard with what your guests will need. They should be bringing most of what they need with them when they come to your home. You're just providing these big things that they can't bring with them. And so I hope this video has been helpful for you. I hope that if you're in the same situation we were about 8 years ago, where you've got an empty room and you're needing a guest space, but you're not quite sure what to put in there and what is necessary, that this video will help you. Keep in mind that every guest is different, every host is different, and everyone has a different comfort level. And so every guest room will be slightly different. So don't take this as law. This is just what works for us, and this is what worked for our home and our guest room. So if you like this video, please give this a thumbs up. If you want more content like this, please subscribe to our channel. That tells us that you're interested in what we are putting out there. If you have any questions or comments, leave those in the comment section. And we just hope you're having a lovely day wherever you are, and we'll talk to you soon. Bye.